Open the room.
Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. This is dead heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat chain like money. This go overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd, whoever wanna come along. Word up, talk, just move right up the wall. Day or night, sky's the light, so we dance to the break of dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the medicine, so you should keep your eyes on the ball. This is getting heavy, can you hear the bass? Boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat chain like money. And this go overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm down, you know I glow. And let's go, 'cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Light it up like dynamite. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, eh. Light it up like dynamite. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. 'Cause
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy second day of HackerGal's 11th National Hackathon. Can you believe it's already the second day? I would like to all welcome everyone now to today's graphic design webinar, which is called Designing a Digital Logo for Your Hackathon Coding Project. How excited. We have such an amazing lineup of events, so stay tuned to hear more about everything. My name is Riley, and I am the bilingual curriculum designer at HackerGal. I also had the amazing opportunity to write the graphic design with PixelArt course that perhaps some of you have already taken. It's also available for free on our HackerGal Hub. We will learn more about this course later on during today's webinar. So exciting. Now I'll get started introducing our amazing, lovely speakers that we have today. I'm absolutely thrilled to be co-hosting today's webinar with Sandra Kwan, Senior Graphic Designer at Sago Mini. Sandra and I will be showing you all how to create your own logos. Sandra has her camera on now, and I'll let her just say hello so you can see her in the speaker view.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Also, please give our speakers a warm welcome in the chat, and you can also use the Q&A feature to ask any questions to them. We are also joined by a second amazing speaker. We have Maria, a HackerGal ambassador, with us today. She will soon show us her absolutely phenomenal hackathon coding project. You all have the honor and privilege of seeing her amazing work. So let's say hello to her. I'll let her turn on her mic to say hello.
Hello, it's nice to be here, I guess.
Thank you so much. That is so amazing. Okay, before we take our first look at today's objectives for the webinar, let's just remind ourselves of a couple important things. Number one, today's event will be recorded, so you will be able to watch it on YouTube later. The HackerGal team will be identified by HackerGal after their name. Attendee microphones and cameras are turned off for this event, and the chat will only be for positive and supportive messages only. Please do not share any personal information or contact information to that effect. And please, I already said it, but please submit all questions using the Q&A. Lucy from the HackerGal team, who you all know and met yesterday, is in the background, and she's going to support the tech and your questions as they come in. Lucy, you can feel free to wave to us now if you'd like. Thank you, Lucy. That's awesome. And please don't remember, share your favorite moments with us on social media. Please tag at the HackerGals, and feel free to use our lovely hashtags, hashtag I am a HackerGal or hashtag Je suis une HackerGal. Amazing. So without further ado, let's go over the objectives for today's webinar. So the overall objective, as I'm sure you know by now, is to explore the power of logos and how they can represent communities. We are going to start by meeting Maria, and we're going to get the rundown on her outstanding hackathon coding. Second, you will have the opportunity to participate with your fellow learners to determine which famous Canadian logos belong to which design categories. Then we will meet Sandra, and we'll learn all about her digital community logo. Super exciting stuff in store. And finally, the moment that I'm sure you all are waiting for, we will be designing our own digital logos for our hackathon coding projects that we can use as display images on links. We will show this by walking you through some really broken down step-by-step instructions. So get ready to be creative and have fun. And finally, you will also learn and be provided with materials that will support uploading these logos as a display images for your links coding projects as well. Perfect. So I would now love to welcome HackerGal Ambassador Maria to the stage again. She will introduce herself and showcase her amazing coding work and how it represents a community that's very important to her. So without further ado, take it away, Maria.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so hello, my name is Maria. I am a grade 12 student in Ontario, and I am currently involved with the HackerGal Ambassador Program. So for the hackathon project, the community I chose to talk about is an online community called Otome Isekai on Reddit, which focuses on like female-oriented comic fantasy stories. I love reading through the rants and criticism found, along with seeing like all the amazing art found within this story. Okay, so this is the example project I made for the hackathon. I drew everything for it using a program called Medibang Paint, along with the drawing tablet I bought off Amazon. I'd show it, but I'm in school right now, so I can't. And since I'm limited on time, I'll just like briefly go over some important parts within the project. So first, clicking on play and letting that load, will take you to a little loading screen I made. So once we enter the actual game, in a few minutes or seconds, you're going to get these options. And first we can go to the developer page, which gives more insight on why I chose this community. I pretty much talk about like how I got into the genre around 2017, 2018, and how my love for art pretty much drew me into it. So yeah, that's the page for it. So next, I'm going to be going into the story mode section. So as that loads, I put a lot of loading screens in this for some reason. Yeah. So a few seconds and there you go. So there's a little rant here giving a brief description on how about the genre itself. So as I said before, the genre is like very fantasy female oriented, and it surrounds a lot of nobility and royalty themes. Something that draws a lot of people to this genre is the fact that the main character is usually a villain rather than a heroine. So like it adds like kind of flavor to it, I guess. So yeah. So after that, I just want to show off like some aspects of the community itself, where like people love to talk about the stories. So yes, we're just gonna like let that walk through until we get to the next section. And there it is. So this section, like clicking on the community book. So this section is on like how friendly and welcoming the community is, which is like pretty surprising for a Reddit page. So yeah, clicking on like the two little boxes you see on the right will give you like, well, it's links to the post. When you click that, it will just take you directly there. Then that's all for that part. And follow the next section, which is in the next area, clicking the arrow. And it is called clothing. So this section is like pretty much a rant I found on Reddit and how clothing heavily dictates how a character will be treated in the story. So for example, a character that dresses modestly will like be seen as a good person, while a character that dresses with more showy items like jewelry will be seen as evil. And it's like really interesting. I love reading through it. It's like one of the parts that make the community really great. So that's pretty much all for the story and the game itself. And next we can go into the actual commands. So once it loads, in a few seconds. So looking at the commands used and like going through all of it, the most common ones were the page commands, the launch commands, and the wait commands. So the page command turned to the page given within the code. The launch command allowed like the user to hear the music and sound effects, which is like a big part of my project, I think. And it also allows you to click on links. And then the wait commands just allows me to like time the order in which things occur. And yeah, that's pretty much all. If you want to find this project again for reference, you can find it located within the Hackathon Learner Kit. This was a lot of fun to create, and I hope all of you working on your hackathon projects will like enjoy it just as much as I did, pretty much. So yeah.
Wow, while we get our slides back up, I just want to once again say thank you for showing us so generously, bringing us in on a community that's very important to you. It's such an immersive experience going through the coding project, and all of our learners and girls all over the country are so have the honor of you really getting to work with it. So congratulations, and thank you so much to Maria, our HackerGal ambassador. Now, before we head into our next feature item, let's play a little short interactive game of guessing that logo type. So why are logos so important to building a community? Well, they use design and colors and effects to visually represent the brand. Think of your favorite organization's logo. Hint, hint, we hope you pick HackerGals, just kidding. Do the colors used reflect the identity of that specific community? Is there a mission statement or a slogan that is printed on it? What about the shapes and images? What about the different ways in which text is used? Information communication technologies such as popular social media and also digital design platforms like PixelArt that we will be using, they have put the power into the people's hands and allowed communities to represent themselves and really think of ways that they want to reflect that on a visual scale. And this has also allowed them to make their brands known worldwide, to extend a community and to really get the awareness about it out. So audience members, you may recognize these famous Canadian logos that represent different communities. In the chat, can you please let us know what type of logos do you think these are? Are they wordmark or word-based logos? Or alternatively, maybe they represent logo symbols and combination logos. What do we think? let's get some answers in the chat before we reveal the answer. What do we think? So I'm seeing some combination. Do we think it's A, word mark, meaning text-based? Do we think it's B, just a logo symbol? Or do we think it's C? I see CD Howe is saying C, and Miss Hunter's class is also saying C. And we've got a lot of answers coming in that point to C. Lucy, will you let us know what it is? We're dying to know the answer. Oh, you all are geniuses and you work together so well. And you guessed it, all of these logos are considered to be combination logos. That means that they combined images, shapes, and text to convey their message and their brand. And another similarity that you may find is that these logos all kind of use shapes, use different shapes. They also have different heights. And also the arrangement or the positioning of the elements is a really crucial factor in them. These are really important principles of digital logo design. And if you couldn't already guess it, we will be making our own combination logos today. But before we get to that step, I now have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker and co-facilitator, Sandra Kwan, Senior Designer at Sago Mini. Sandra will now tell us all about her exciting career, as well as showcase her beautiful digital logo for us. So without further ado, take it away, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Hacker Gal, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And as mentioned before, my name is Sandra, and I'm a senior designer at Sago Mini. So Sago Mini is an award-winning company in Toronto. We're dedicated to making beautiful and thoughtfully designed digital and physical toys for kids 2 to 5 years old, though lots of their older siblings or kids who have grown up with us still love us. If you know us, let me know. We have a lovable cast of characters that have starred in our digital apps since 2015, but soon this expanded into plushies, toys, and now monthly subscription boxes. We believe that learning happens through play, and we have a great team of illustrators, designers, developers, thinkers, and doers at Sago Mini who make all of this happen. Over the years, I did a lot of the marketing materials that showcase our Sago Mini apps, such as anything you see in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, where users go to search for apps to purchase and download onto their mobile devices. These are some of the examples of images that I created that were seen in the online app store. And I would work with illustrators and adopt their artwork into creating images that show the characters, features, and scenes from the apps. I also get to design social media posts, newsletters, and what I find most fun, swag, like tote bags and stickers that we get to give to fans and people who are learning about us. You can see me proudly holding my tote bag at an event we attended several years ago, where we were giving people the tote bag I designed when they signed up for our newsletter. Currently, I am working on printables, which are paper toys and activities. This includes coloring sheets, paper dolls, scavenger hunts, finger puppets, you name it, anything fun. I help with things like the artwork creation, template designs, and online marketing materials for these printables that we offer to parents every week that goes straight to their email inboxes. And just to give you a little backstory of how I got here to become a graphic designer, I remember when I was a kid, I really loved to draw and write stories. I would do it every single day. I actually wanted to become an author and never really thought I'd become an artist or a graphic designer. But I always made sure I was still taking art classes during high school because I just simply love to draw. When I started thinking about my future and university, college, I learned about graphic design. I was immediately drawn to it because I loved how it combined art with conceptual thinking, and that the profession of graphic design can help companies elevate their stories. I really like that part. So I applied to a design program, got accepted, and fast forward to today, I've been a graphic designer for over 10 years now. But I will always remember that I knew early on that I wanted to do something related to art. In the photo on the right, you can see it all came for full circle when I got a chance to read a book I made when I was around 9 years old to all my coworkers at Sego Mini. I also have a side business today called Bowl Cut Paper Goods. You can see here that my logo is inspired by my bowl cut hairstyle when I was a kid. For my online shop, I design and create things like greeting cards, art prints, stickers, and lucky red envelopes that are given out during Lunar New Year. I've been doing it for a few years now, and through that, I found a community of very talented creative business owners who also design greeting cards and other paper goods, particularly ones who are revisiting their Asian background and culture. We started messaging each other to share experiences, advice, and art. I never expected this when I started my business, and it's just been so nice. Small ways I've been able to make changes in this community is engaging in conversation with other creators, seeing them as allies or friends rather than competitors, be willing to share knowledge, and offering to listen whenever someone needs help or has questions. And that is why I created this digital logo and calling this community of mine the Paper Hub to represent all the talented creators I've befriended who come from different parts of the world and in all shapes and sizes, but who collectively share a love for paper goods and greeting cards. Now, I'll pass this over to Riley to get you started on your digital logo.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. And thank you so much for sharing such amazing, being so generous and sharing these amazing different communities that are very near and dear and personal to you. We are very lucky that we get to be brought in on some of this, and you gave us such amazing advice. Feel free to ask any questions to any of our speakers in the Q&A as well. Now, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. We will now recreate our logos with you. Yes, I made one too, but let's not compare both of them. I'm kidding. We're going to follow some steps that will be shared in the chat very soon. So are you all ready to become the graphic designers that we know you all are, and to design your own logos that represent your communities? Let's hear it in the chat. I want to see lots of yeses in the chat because we're all capable. Yes, amazing. I'm seeing lots of yeses. Okay, so now I am going to screen share PixelArt, and Lucy in the background is going to put some important links in the back. So if you all, she's actually right now going to put the PixelArt link in the chat so that all of you can follow along and create your own logos alongside us. So I'll give you all a second just to get that open, or if you're in a classroom, to get that open with your teacher. So what is PixelArt? PixelArt E is a photo editor and graphic design platform to begin that allows you to create your own graphic designs. It's online and it's web-based. Therefore, it is also available in many different languages, including English and French. There's also a mobile PixelArt M. However, for the purpose of today's webinar, we will be using PixelArt E. That is also the one that we teach throughout our course. You can also create your own logo on PixelArt by following these instructions that Lucy will also paste into the chat now. These are the learner instructions, and these are the steps that Sandra and myself will actually be demonstrating with you today. So feel free to follow along, but don't worry, just keep in mind that you can always go back to PixelArt E using the instructions and some pretty cool photo assets that we created for you. And you can edit your logo at any time after today's. You can always refer to these instructions going forward. Really, you could make 100 different logos if you want as well. So the first thing we are going to do to begin a new project, we are going to go and click on the button that says Create New. So We're clicking on Create New. And once we get here, you're going to see a lot of different templates that come up. So these are preset templates that the platform has actually made for us. But we want to actually give our project its own dimensions, its own width and height. So if anyone wants to put in the chat, does anyone recall the amount of pixels or the dimensions on the Lynx coding platform? If you can recall those and on your workspace, how many pixels, how much room do you have going up in height and width? Does anyone know? Feel free to post it in the chat. So we want to make sure that our width is 800 pixels because we are going to be uploading these logos onto Lynx. And yes, the workspace height is also 400, 800 by 400. Now, similar to on Lynx, we want to give our project a name that makes sense, that is personal to us so that we know what our intention was when we were creating it. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to call it Riley's Hackathon logo. And the theme is Canadian women designers. Perfect. We also are going to want to keep our background transparent. So we are not going to click this button to select a background. We're going to keep it transparent because when we upload it as the display image, we want to make sure there is no background. And once we have completed those steps to create a new design, we're going to click the blue button here, Create. Okay, and keep in mind, everyone, that you can also refer to the instructions on the Google document that was posted in the chat. But we are going to move on to our lovely first step. How is everyone feeling? Woo, let us know in the chat if you're excited. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is to choose a shape layer. Think back, we were talking about shape layers and how a lot of logos actually just start from very simple geometric shapes. Think triangles, circles, pentagons, hexagons, all that fun stuff, just so that it's very clear and it also stands out very nicely. So let's head to the layers pane. You'll now see that there is the layers pane, which is on the right-hand side, okay? And what essentially are layers? Layers are very important in the graphic design world because they serve as kind of the backdrop that we apply the tools from our toolbox onto. So in order to activate any tool, we need to have layers upon which those tools can be placed, if that makes sense. Hope my grammar was good there. So these tools can perform so many amazing functions when we think of it, including removing backgrounds, blending layers all together to create one mega layer, which is pretty cool when we have a project with lots of different elements, and also applying cool gradients and effects. These are just to name a few. We're going to actually be working with a lot of those today. And we're going to learn more about the functionalities of the layers pane once we get to step 6. So stay tuned. So in order to add a new layer, I have one layer now, but I want to add a new layer. I'm going to click the plus button in the layers pane, the plus, like the addition sign. And I am actually going to choose shape. You guessed it. Not text, not frame, not image, not empty, but shape. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And what you'll see that comes up is a gray rectangular shape. Okay. To customize this shape to serve as the base layer of the logo that you're going to be working with, you're going to make sure that you're still on the layer. So here we have shape 2. I'm on my layer. I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to go to the top hand pane, and I'm actually feeling a little funky today. So I want a custom shape. if you see there's this little like amorphous looking blob, we click on that, and that is where we can choose from a range of custom shapes. So I'm going to click on that. And however, to bring down the options, we cannot click this little downward arrow. We actually have to click this little black box. So we're going to select it. And voila, here we have so many cool shapes that we can choose from. For my project, it's actually all about Canadian women design communities in general. So I'm going to repeat these steps a couple times because I actually want to make a computer monitor as the background for my shape. So essentially what I'm going to do is I don't want it to be so jagged, the edges. I want it to have a little bit of a rounded edge. So I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to select this one. Sandra, what do you think? How you think this is good for a computer monitor? Maybe we'll go a little bit more, yes. I like it. I think it's
like it.
Perfect. So another thing that we can do, we want to make sure that we are still on the shape. We are on the shape tool. You can confirm that here. And I actually want to increase the size of this because this is going to be the background for the monitor. So here I go, and I'm going to use the arrow, the little arrow in the corner, and drag my logo. I actually want it to be quite large because it's going to be sort of the background think of a monitor, and perfect. So as I said, I'm going to repeat these steps a couple of times because there's kind of 3 elements that I want. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add a second shape layer. So I'm going to repeat the steps, plus button, shape. Now you'll notice we can't see this one because of the color, but keep in mind, we will be adjusting the colors of these layers coming soon. So I'm just going to leave this one here for now because I am going to enlarge it a bit because this is the size that I kind of want the screen. And last but not least, I'm going to add a custom shape. So make sure you're on your third shape. So shape 4 actually. And I'm going to go to custom. And I actually want a stand for the monitor. So I think I'm going to select this guy. Okay. Now I just want to make sure I've moved this this shape layer. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then also a really cool tool is this little button on the top that has the toggle hand. You can simply rotate and change the position. So I want it to be a little bit, whoops, make sure you're on the layer. I want it to be a little bit more that way. That looks like a laptop stand. And I like it. I think it looks kind of cool. It looks a little abstract, which I always love abstract art. That's my favorite. So awesome. Now I'll give everyone a couple seconds to just catch up, or if you just want to relax and enjoy, watch the steps. Keep in mind, you can always go to the learner instructions at any time, and you can also follow along now with us if you want. So the next step, step number 2, which you will notice on your sheet, is we are going to create our own color palette. Now, this is a very important, I'm sure that Sandra will reiterate this again, but colors are very important in identifying a brand, in emulating, visualizing something that how we want to make ourselves or our communities known. As you probably have realized, color palettes obviously are very important when it comes to logos. And as an example, I'll go back always to HackerGal's signature brand colors. We've got our purple, the ones that you mainly see are purple, white, and yellow, but we also have some secondary colors such as blue, green, and pink that you might notice, as you can tell by my gradient background here. These were carefully selected by the HackerGal team and a graphic designer in order to aesthetically represent our mission, which is all about being youthful and impactful and fun. Now, color theory is very useful when we create logos. Many of our favorite logos are made up of colors that have a contrast. So going back to HackerGal, we have purple and green and purple and yellow, which are fairly opposite on if we think of a color wheel, or if we think of our primary and secondary colors that we've learned about in school. While contrasting colors are very impactful, we do recommend just be creative. There are no rules when it comes to colors. And we want to show that by going through the steps that we use to actually create our own. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head to the color palette tool. Now that is in the toolbar. So this is the first time we're actually going to be going to the toolbar. As you may notice, this is the color palette tool. We're going to click on it to open it up. And you'll notice that, lucky me, you know, because I didn't prepare for this at all, just kidding. I have all of my beautiful brand colors, which you'll see in the logo at the end of this, that are already set up. So what you can do, let's say, for example, I want to change this sort of bluish color here. You can actually use the sliding scale here to go to the area of the color wheel that you want to play around with. So I actually think I want to bring in like a more royal blue. So I'm actually going to go here, and now I've customized that. But also another really important tool that you can use is, you might have learned about this already, but you can find the hex codes for different colors. Now, hex codes are a system that allows colors to display on digital screens. So actually, they're pretty universal in the sense that a lot of platforms, like for example, you can customize your Google Images background with it, or your Google search. So once you identify them, you should be able to put them in here and it comes up. So for example, this beautiful, I love this like dusty rose color. That is its hex code. So where it is on the big digital color wheel. Now let's go back to, for the purpose of my project, I think for this layer, the screen layer, I think I'm gonna go with a light color, like kind of like a white, because I do want to add other elements on top of it. So I want it just to be sort of an easy color to view. So I'm gonna click on my white here, and I'm gonna click OK. So we have that in our color palette. Now to actually modify the color of it, keep in mind it was my second shape layer. So I'm going to go back to my second shape layer. That's the one I want to fill in. And I just said the magic word, fill. You can click on this box here. And since my colors are already in my color palette, I'm just going to select it, and voila, you may see that it is set up, but there's a slight problem here. My layer is actually in my laptop, my monitor stand layer is actually in front of my screen, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I'm actually going to go to the layers pane, touch the layer, and bring it below like this, so it's hidden. Perfect. I think I'll actually make my first layer, which is the background of the monitor. I actually think I want to go with a kind of like a lighter color, so there's a contrast. So I'm going to change it to this. And once again, you can see that this laptop, this monitor stand is still in front. So I'm essentially going to bring it underneath. And there we've got it. We've got a little monitor. Now, keep in mind, it's very important that you keep your color palette stacked up with all of your colors, because you will be referring to it as you go throughout your work. So that is very important. Now, I am going to pass it over to Sandra now, who will give you all the next steps, which are really focused on images, text, and fun effects. So we have the professional who is going to guide us through this. So take it away, Sandra, and I will stop screen sharing.
Thank you, Riley. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Let's see. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. So this is where I left off with my logo. Now that I have the base shapes of my logo consisting of a circle and a rectangle, I'm ready to add some images to my logo. For your convenience, Lucy will be sharing a link shortly in the chat with some sample imagery you can start with for your logo. So when you're thinking about what images you want to add, consider what represents your community. It could be people, an object like a computer, animals, or symbols like shapes. It's good to choose something that visually communicates at a glance what your community and project is all about, and ultimately has meaning to you. In my case, I want to show all the different kinds of wonderful small business owners and creators who make greeting cards and other stationery items that make up my community. Instead of choosing images of people, I decided to go more abstract and represent them with shapes with happy faces on them, as you'll see in a second. It just makes me happy. What images do you plan to include? Give it a think and tell us in the chat. So once you have collected all the images you need and saved it to a location on your computer, you go up to the menu here, Layer, and you go down to Add Image as Layer. Click on that, and then you navigate to the folder or location where you've saved your images and select it. So I'm going to start with my pencil image first, which I chose to represent the creativity that comes with making sketches when coming up with ideas, and that a lot of the creators in my community do as well. So I select my pencil, open, and there it is in the document as a layer. You will notice that your image may have a background color to it, which is usually white, and in my case it is. So I do want to remove it because it covers other parts of my logo. So how do you do that? So you go to the side toolbar and you see this magic wand tool. So once you click on it, your cursor changes into a cross. So then making sure that you're selecting the right layer, you click on the area of the background color you want to remove. So once I click on it, you'll see these dots all around the white. And then you simply press delete on your keyboard and voila, it's gone. So you also see that the area is still selected. So you simply go up to here, select, and then go down to deselect. And now it's deselected. And then I like to go back to this arrange tool just as a default to move on to your next step. So now I'm going to go ahead and repeat the steps to add in all the other images I have. If you have more images you want to add, go ahead and add them in now. If not, then you can wait for the next step after this. So I'm going to do the same thing, layer, add image as layer. And I have these other images that I want to add. So for timing purposes, I have removed the background color to them just to save some time. So this is the fun part. Using the arrange tool, which I have already selected up here, you get to position all your images to where you want them in your logo. And you could do things like resizing, you could rotate them, and just position them to how you'd like them to be. So in graphic design, we like to consider things like hierarchy, arrangement of which means the arrangement of items from what's most important to least, balance, if one side feels heavier than the other side, we kind of want to balance that out, and spacing. So making sure there's enough breathing room between elements so nothing is too tight. So just kind of rearranging. And like Riley said earlier, you could play with your layers as well. So then you could arrange which shapes you want above or below certain things. So I think I want my heart to be under the rectangle and my triangle as well. And I'll keep the square and pencil above the rectangle. All right, girls, are you feeling good so far? Perfect. You are doing great. So let's keep going. So the next step is we get to add text within your logo. So a big part of your logo is the name for your community and your mission statement. And so here's how we are going to do that. So you go to the layers pane right here. And then you see this little plus button, you click on that, or you could also go up to here for text. And then you see that a text field has been created. I'm going to make sure this goes above my rectangle shape So there it appears. I'm calling my community Paper Hub to communicate how we all gather together to support one another when it comes to creating greeting cards and other paper products. So now, with this layer selected, you go up to this toolbar and you see font. So once you click on that, you'll see a whole list of different fonts for you to explore. Choose something that is easy to read and has the personality you want to convey. You can go from something light and bubbly to something more formal and serious, whatever feels right to you. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the font. I'm going to go with this one. And now next, I want to play with the color of the text. So you go up to here, fill, click on that box, and you'll also see a selection where you could pick whatever color you want, or the colors that you've already pre-selected for your logo will be down here. So I already have this pink selected, so I would choose that. Once that I have that, I want to change the size. So up here, you go here, and you could drag the little circle from left to right. Well, that's super big, or you could go small. I think I will go with an even 60. Yeah, I like that. And obviously you could move your logo around. Yeah, I think that looks about right. And I want to mention, as a designer, we like to pay close attention to things like line space and letter space to ensure the text is easy to read, clear, and visually appealing. This is called typography. So what I just mentioned, you can find these settings up here in format. So when you click on that, you see line space and letter space. So line space is if you have 2 or more lines of text, you could play with the spacing between the lines. In my case, I only have 1 line of space, so I don't need to really do anything with that. I'm going to play with my letter spacing. So if you increase the letter space, you could see that the spacing between all the individual letters increase. And if you go all the way here, the space is very tight. So I am going to, I think I want to fill up the rectangle. So I think 12 looks pretty good. Seems to have a good space in the rectangle. And then down here, you could also choose the style of the font. So you could go uppercase. My font is already all uppercase. You could go italic. You could go bold. So I'm just going to go bold just to add a little oomph to it. So I'm happy with that. So once you're happy with your logo name, now you get to add in your mission statement with the same steps. I'll quickly go in and add in mine. So it's go back to the layers page, go up to here, text. So this is a new text field, I bring it down here. So my mission statement is for creators of all shapes and sizes. Okay, so I will go and repeat the same steps. I will pick my font. I think I will go with a different one. Go with this one. I'll change my color. I'll use the same pink. And then play with the size. I think I will go a little smaller. And that's because the mission statement should really be the second or third thing that someone looks at. So in comparison to the logo name, the mission statement should be smaller than that. And I'm going to put it right down here. Actually, I also want to play with format. I think I want to make it italic as well. You could also put your mission statement below your logo name as well, whatever feels good to you. So I'm going to turn on this white background so you can see my text is right there. Perfect. Okay, we are almost there. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Remember that you can always come back to this tutorial afterwards, so no worries if you may have missed something. All right, now it's time to add some finishing touches to your logo and apply visual effects to make it really pop. So for my logo, I want to play up the paper idea more. And I could do that by adding texture to the images to mimic paper texture. So first, make sure you select the image you want to add a visual effect to. So in my layers, I will start maybe with the heart. You could also click on it as well. Go to filter up here, and then you will see lots of visual effects that you could play with. Take some time to go through them and experiment. This is really fun. So in my case, I know that I want to add some text. Sorry, let me go back here. I want to add some texture. So I'm going to go to filter details, and I'm gonna go to grain. And then here, you could see with the slider, I could adjust the amount of grain I want in the heart. So it's really the intensity of like how much you want to see the grain. So I'm going to, I think 70. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'm gonna apply. And then I'll do the same to the other shapes as well. So in the meantime, you could tell us in the chat what visual effects you're playing with, so that everyone else also gets a chance to maybe check out the visual effect you're playing with. So I'm going to do the same. Filter, details, grain. You can also type in the number. I remember it was 70. We'll also go to the triangle, same thing. Oh, filter, details, grain. Just to keep it all consistent. Okay. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. So now I want to actually add an outline to my whole logo so it pops on any colored background. For example, I put the HackerGal purple behind my logo. It looks good, but my logo doesn't quite pop as well on the dark background. So I want to add a white outline to my logo. So I'm going to go into my layers. I actually do not want to add an outline to my mission statement. So I'm gonna just hide that for now, this little eye icon. And I'll hide the backgrounds as well too. And then I'm going to go up here to layer, and I'm gonna select merge visible. And what this does is it combines all the shapes and text layers. So you want to make sure that you're at a good step in your logo, that like you're pretty happy with it, because once you combine the layers, you can go back into history and undo it, but it just combines everything, so it's harder to edit. So I'm pretty happy with mine, so I'm going to merge visible. So I merged all the layers that were visible there. I'm going to click on this little lock to unlock it, and I'll turn back my mission statement on. And then I'll turn back the purple background. Now that this, I guess you could call this a mega layer, like Riley did. It was once many layers, now it's a mega layer. You could also rename it as well through here. Could rename it there. I guess I will rename it logo. Okay. So now you go to layer. Oh wait, no, sorry. Edit. Then you go to stroke. Now you could choose the color of the stroke. I wanted white, so I'm going to choose that. Oh, so there it added a white outline to my logo. You could also play with the size of the outline. So you could go very thick, or you could go very thin. I think I will go with 10 feels good to me. So now, oh, and also opacity. So here you could play with the transparency of your outline. So you could go very transparent actually, or just at 100%. So I will keep at 100% opacity, and I'll click on apply. So now my logo really pops on the purple background. And last but not least, I want to add one more visual effect to add some 3D feel to it, which is a shadow behind the logo. So with the logo layer selected, I am going to go to filter again, and I'm going to go all the way to drop shadow. And here you can play with the color, opacity, blur, and the location of the shadow to your logo. So you could change the color of your shadow. I'm going to keep it black. Opacity, the transparency of it. I think I want it maybe like a 30%. I think that feels good to me. Blur is how blurry you want your shadow to be. It could be a very soft kind of shadow, or it could have a hard edge to it. I will go for slightly blurred. And then offset X and offset Y, basically it's the location on the X axis, so left or right of your logo. I'm just going to do a slight 3 pixels to the right. And then offset Y is the up and down on the Y axis. I'm going to do, I guess, I think 4%. So I kept it very slight, but as you can see, it adds a little bit of a 3D feel to it. So yeah, there you have it. I hope that you girls are really happy with how your logo is looking so far. I will now pass it over to Riley for the last remaining steps. Stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much. We just have a couple quick steps. So I will just briefly share my screen before hopping over to Lucy once again. But as you can see, obviously some pretty awesome things went on in the background. You know, while I was following Sandra, I was able to make my own logo. How cool, everyone. And obviously it was about Canadian women in the design world, and it is bilingual because we are in Canada. As you can see, I chose more of like that pixelated sort of digital look for mine, which I really love. And I also have the gender equality sign here as well. I did create all of the individual assets for this. So really, there is another step that you can go back to, which is all about learning how to merge the layers a little bit more, which I do see some questions in the Q&A about that. So you can always make sure you can go back to those learner instructions. And one last quick step, I'll just guide you through how to save it very, very quickly. So as you can see, I don't have my layers merged. So a really quick hack, if you don't want to merge them so you can go back and edit the layers, you can just go to, make sure you go to File and Export, and you do Quick Export Page as PNG. Keep in mind, links only recognizes PNG and JPEG files, and you can also find more information about how to upload your logo specifically on links on the learner instructions as well. So you just give it a name and you'd save it. So I'll let Lucy re-screen share again so we can finish up with the event. Perfect. Thank you, Lucy. Now, very quickly, I just want to mention, I would like to plug our course again. HackerGal does offer an entire free course on graphic design with PixelArt. It's available on our HackerGal Hub. It has been since about last August. Maybe some of you have already taken it, but feel free to sign up on the Hub. Lucy Kit will add the link for the Hub in the chat. There's lots of things that we covered today that you can learn about, specifically navigating the platform, some more tips and tricks, creating cool products like logos, infographics, posters, you name it. We cover a wide range of activities, and also applying fun visual effects, such as the aesthetic touches like the grain and the drop shadow that we all love. And there's a project with that course, which is basically about encapsulating your identity, not really a community, but yours. So very similar to what we did today. I would also like to now just say I can't believe this event is over. Before we sign off for today, we have a couple important reminders. The next event is on Saturday, May 28th at 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, where you will put all of your tech knowledge to the test and embark on a choose your own adventure style mission at HackerGal's Tech Trivia Adventure. sneak peek, I will be co-hosting that event. So please come and spread all your positivity in the chat. Another reminder is that you can also ask any design questions you have, coding or anything on HackerGal's Padlet, which I believe is on the next slide. If you need the link or the QR code, we have the Hackathon Padlet there. We'll just wait to go to there. And we've also have it posted in the chat. And also we would like to now reveal our secret word. Can I get a drum roll in the chat, please, to reveal our secret word for today's event? Okay, without further ado, it is friendship or amitié. Friendship or amitié. Finally, I would love to give a big thank you to Maria, who actually had to go back to class for sharing her amazing graphic design expertise, as well as her amazing coding skills with us. Let's hear it one more time for her in the chat. And also a big thank you goes out to Sandra for joining us and sharing her amazing graphic design expertise, all of her knowledge, and for sharing with us the communities that are so important to her. Please, I would love to have some thank yous come in for both Maria and Sandra in the chat. Thank you so much. And finally, we would like to thank Sago Mini, CSC, CIBC, and all our proud partners for supporting HackerGal's mission to close the gender gap in technology. That's all for today, and we will see you all on Saturday for our tech trivia adventure. Keep on designing, HackerGals, and take our course. DJ, cue the music.
Get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong.